I, at 18 years old, have recently told my father that I will no longer be visiting him at his house due to his wife, my stepmom. I have told him he is welcome to come visit me instead, but he has made no effort to. And the one time he did plan to come see me, he ended up ghosting me and mistreating me. For example, the first time she met me, she had told me straight away that she did not like kids, which explains why she has none of her own. She also called me overweight and made me weigh myself every time I was over. As time went on, it only got worse. She would also always insult my real mother by calling her Arda names. Keep in mind, my father is here for 90% of the things she has done and said, and always stays silent. Another huge issue I have with her is that she refuses to let my dad buy me anything. She wouldn't allow him to buy me a birthday gift as she claims I use him for his money and only come around on holidays. Which is not true, as my father lives hours away and I had no way of seeing him unless he came to pick me up or I took a train down. Last Christmas my dad bought me a nice pair of shoes. They were around $230. It was the only gift he got me in a while, and she made a huge deal over it. While I was opening it, she kept saying that I looked at both of them like money bags and that I didn't deserve any gifts. When I went to thank my father, she made a comment about how I better thank him for all of that money going to waste on someone who isn't deserving. Needless to say, when my birthday rolled around, he had to send me a private e-transfer so she wouldn't find out. Quite sad. Anyways, recently over this past year, I brought my boyfriend down to meet my father, and of course, she was there. This interaction is what caused me to not want to see him again. The entire time, my stepmom was hating me in front of my boyfriend. She started off by saying that she doesn't think I'm smart enough for university and that I should probably consider college. She then asked me and my boyfriend for a 5-year life plan and said that his was much better than mine and that I should take notes because I'm going to go nowhere in life. I ran off crying because it was very humiliating and she yelled at me that I was putting on a performance and called me alligator tears. Apparently, while I was gone, she was trying to convince my boyfriend to BRAC up with me by saying he can do better, which I found out through him directly after. And once again, my dad said nothing at all. But my dad somehow thinks I'm the JRK for not coming around anymore, and says that his wife is just tough but wants the best for me, and I need to deal with her because she isn't going anywhere. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not an idiot. Next time dad says she isn't going anywhere, simply respond, that's okay. I am going somewhere far away from her abc. And you, because you enable that abc, I'm far better off without either of you in my life. HLL, I'm a far better person than either of you. Comment 2. Personally, I'd go no contact. He's fine with his wife HRSing his daughter. He stood by for years while she has been doing it for years and not done anything about it. It seems to me you don't have a dad, unfortunately you only have a SBRM donor. Not an idiot. Update. Hey Reddit, it's been a week since I last posted about the whole mess with my dad and his wife. And boy, do I have an update for you. Buckle up, because this one's a doozy. So after I told my dad I wouldn't be visiting him anymore, he finally decided to show up at my place. I thought maybe he was coming to apologize, but nope, he had a different agenda. He came to tell me that he and his wife were renewing their vows, and he wanted me there. I was shocked. After everything she's done, I couldn't believe he'd even ask. But here's the case, he said if I didn't come, it would prove that I was the one tearing the family apart. Can you believe that? The nerve of him to flip the script after all the years of her treating me like dirt, and he's never once stood up for me. Now, let's rewind a bit to when I was 13. That's when the comments about my weight started getting really bad. She'd make me step on the scale in front of her friends, and they'd all ask and shake their heads like I was some sort of project. It was humiliating. And my dad, he just stood there, silent as always. Back to the present. I told my dad I'd think about the vow renewal, but deep down I knew I couldn't stomach being there. Meanwhile, my boyfriend, who's been my rock through all this, was fuming. He couldn't believe my dad would put me in this position. A few days later, I got a text from my dad's wife. She said she wanted to clear the air and invited me out for coffee. Against my better judgment, I agreed. I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd apologize. We met up, and it was like a scene from a bad movie. She started off with a fake apology, saying she was sorry if I ever felt bad about her jokes. But then she went on to say that I needed to grow a thicker skin and that the real world wasn't going to coddle me. She even had the audacity to bring up my mom, saying that she was the reason I was so sensitive. I was seeing red. I stood up to leave, and that's when she dropped a bombshell. She said that if I didn't come to the vow renewal, she'd make sure my dad cut me off financially. She knew I relied on him to help with my university tuition. It was a low blow, even for her. I walked out of there with my head held high, but inside I was a mess. I called my boyfriend, and he was ready to march over there and give her a piece of his mind. But I told him it wasn't worth it. Now remember those shoes my dad bought me last Christmas? Well, I decided to sell them. I didn't want anything in my life that was connected to her. I got a decent amount for them, enough to cover some of my expenses for a while. The day of the vow renewal came and I didn't go. Instead, I spent the day with my boyfriend trying to forget about the whole thing. But then I got a text from my dad. He said he was disappointed in me and that I had made my choice. He didn't say it outright, but I knew what it meant. I was cut off. I was angry, hurt, and felt betrayed. But then something unexpected happened. My boyfriend's parents, who knew about the whole situation, offered to help me with my tuition. They said they saw me as family and didn't want my future to be jeopardized because of my dad's wife. And here's where karma comes in, subtly but surely. My dad's wife, who prided herself on her looks and her fancy lifestyle, had a little mishap. She went in for some routine cosmetic procedure and, well, let's just say it didn't go as planned. Nothing dangerous, but she's been hiding out at home because she's too embarrassed to be seen in public. As for my dad, he's been trying to reach out, but I'm not ready to talk to him. Not yet, maybe not ever. I'm focusing on my studies and my future, which looks bright thanks to the support of people who truly care about me. Story 2. My husband, 36 years old, and I, 38 years old, are expecting our first child in May. Ever since we announced the pregnancy, the relationship with my in-laws has been very strained. They have ignored my boundaries several times, but I have been told that it's just because they are very excited and that they mean well. I shouldn't be so hormonal/dramatic and should be more grateful. Yesterday, I saw my in-laws again for the first time since Christmas Eve. Normally I would have seen them sooner, but I tested positive for both infection-19 and the flu a few weeks ago, so I was too sick to leave the house. Anyway, yesterday we were told, not asked, to keep our schedules free on a date in April, because they want to take us out for dinner to celebrate their wedding anniversary. This date is about 3 weeks from my due date. Because of medical reasons, I have a high-risk pregnancy, and there is a chance the baby will come early. We have to go for additional scans to monitor this. Immediately after the invitation, I said that because of this, I do not want to make plans for April. But this was, of course, dismissed. When we were home, I told my husband that I think the in-laws should have asked which date would work for us, and that if they insist on keeping the date in April, I will not be attending. Of course, he can go if he wants. He said he would talk to his parents, but now I feel like maybe I'm being too harsh, even though I already know I will not want to go. So, am I the JRK for asking for an earlier date, or, if that's not acceptable, for saying in advance I will not be attending? Edit. Wow, this was my first post, and I did not expect so many replies. I won't be able to answer each question individually, so I just wanted to share a quick update. Thank you for all the replies. I now realize that my reaction was caused by previous events, issues that I will not go into. To clarify, to my in-laws, I just said that I don't feel comfortable confirming plans that late in my pregnancy. The firm no was said to my husband in private, and we have cleared the air. He fully supports me and has talked to my mother-in-law again in the meantime. He confirmed that we will try to make it for dinner. However, we cannot confirm at this point and we will have to see on the day of. He understands my concern that I will not feel comfortable enough. My mother-in-law said she needs time to think about what this means for her. A remark I see a lot is that I shouldn't put my life on hold during the last weeks of my pregnancy, but that is exactly what I'm planning to do. I have arranged to work from home during those weeks, and I will not be making plans, but rather living day by day. I don't see it as putting my life on hold though, but rather slowing down to prepare for my baby. I'm honestly looking forward to the so-called isolation. And last but not least, thank you for all the well wishes for my pregnancy. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You're an idiot. You're being dramatic and hormonal. It's just dinner. Clearly, if you don't feel well or need to stay home for a valid reason, reasonable people will understand. Things happen. And during pregnancy, a lot of times the pregnancy calls the shots. You're refusing because you don't like how they volunteered to hold that date open for them. If that's your real issue, address that with them. But this path of obfuscation is passive-aggressive shenanigans, and that makes proffer. You're an idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but you can accept the invitation with the understanding that you might have to cancel if the baby makes an early appearance. It does seem like you are turning down the plans for reasons other than the higher-risk pregnancy. Every pregnancy has the risk that the baby might arrive earlier than the due date, and a woman can make plans up to and including her due date with the knowledge that a cancellation might happen. Update. Hey everyone, it's been 3 months since my last post, and boy do I have an update for you. Remember how I was dealing with my in-laws and their insensitivity towards my high-risk pregnancy? Well, things took a turn, and not for the better. After my husband talked to his parents, they seemed to understand our situation a bit better. They even suggested an earlier date for their anniversary dinner. I was relieved, thinking we'd finally reached a compromise. But that's when the drama really started. 2 weeks before the rescheduled dinner, my husband's ex-girlfriend, who's somehow still friends with his family, decided to throw a surprise party for my mother-in-law's birthday. And guess who was invited? Everyone but me. When I found out, I was hurt, but my husband was furious. He confronted his parents, and they claimed it was an oversight, but the damage was done. The tension between us grew, and it didn't help that my husband started working late nights, leaving me alone to deal with my anxiety and pregnancy woes. I tried to trust him, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Then one evening, he came home smelling like perfume. Not mine. I confronted him, and after a heated argument, he admitted he'd been seeing his ex. He said it started as innocent catch-ups, but one thing led to another. I was heartbroken. The man I loved, the father of my unborn child, had betrayed me. I seeked him out that night. He went to stay with his parents, who, to my surprise, took his side. They said I was overreacting and should forgive him for the sake of our family, but I couldn't just forget what he'd done. The following weeks were a blur of tears and doctor's appointments. I was alone, scared, and felt betrayed by everyone I trusted. My husband tried to reach out, but I couldn't face him, not yet. As my due date approached, I went into labor early. It was a difficult birth, and without my husband by my side, I felt more alone than ever. But when I held my baby for the first time, I knew I had to be strong for both of us. My husband did come to the hospital, but seeing him only reopened fresh wounds. We barely spoke, and when he held our child, I could see the regret in his eyes. But it wasn't enough to mend my broken heart. Now, I'm back home with my baby, trying to navigate life as a new mom, and dealing with the aftermath of my husband's affair. We're in a weird limbo, where we're not together, but not officially separated either. It's complicated, and I'm just taking it one day at a time. As for my in-laws, they've been surprisingly supportive since the birth, but I can't forget how they sided with my husband initially. It's going to take a lot for me to trust them again, if ever. Story 3. I have been married for 6 years and I have a stepdaughter who is 25 years old now, and she graduated from college too. She used to live in another state with her grandparents because of college, so we didn't spend much time together other than occasional family gatherings and the times she came to sleep over. Now she has always had a dream of running a cosmetics company/brand, and she wanted to start her own line of makeup products like lip glosses, lip scrubs, and all that. She wants to do it through social media. When my husband told me this, I thought it was great and she should go for it. The problem is she has absolutely no resources to start this, and by that I mean money. She has never had a proper job, so she doesn't have her own income. I make more money than her father, and he can't give her the necessary funding since she needs a lot of money. At the same time, it will be a financial burden on him, so he asked me to fund her. I did my research on what she might need, like the materials she would need, and shipping company payments, and I discovered she might need at least $10,000, £2,000. She even contacted me for help, and I told her I can pay this amount if I either get a percentage of her brand's rights, becoming a long-term investor in her brand. Alternatively, if she just wants my help in the short term, she can sign a contract stating that she'll have to pay me back once my short-term help is no longer needed. They both disagreed, and my husband started seeking me for treating Carla, my stepdaughter, like a business partner. I told him that's literally the business we are getting into, and told him that my later suggestion is actually generous of me. I will let her have all the rights to her brand, just pay me back. Carla told me she will pay me back but doesn't want to sign any contract, and I told her that her tantrum when she discovered she is not getting free funding is the reason why I need to have a contract. We had this lengthy conversation and they ended up not agreeing to my terms, so Carla didn't go further with her brand. My husband is still mad at me. Then my mother-in-law called me to say I am cold-hearted for not helping Carla and that I involve business in everything. I just don't understand why they are making Carla's lack of financial independence my problem, when they can have her work and earn money, then try to move forward with her dreams, instead of asking me to fund her dreams for free. Now they are shifting this, as if I don't consider Carla family, because I help my biological daughter's business through my company. While that's true, my biological daughter and I have an agreement of giving me 10% of the profit, so I don't fund her for free either. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. She's asking you to give her money. She's not asking for an investment or a loan. Any expectation that you just give her a large sum of money because of a very limited family relationship is synped. They're being JRKS, and you have every right to be angry at them for their ridiculous expectations. Comment 2, not an idiot. Carla needs to get a job and start earning an income instead of expecting to be handed free money to be repaid when she feels like it, with absolutely no contract. Given her lack of all-around experience, this is not likely going to work out well for her or anyone who gives her funding. Update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support on my last post. I'm back with an update, and, well, things have escalated. So, after the whole ordeal with my stepdaughter Carla wanting to start her cosmetics brand without any financial plan, things took a turn for the worse. My husband has been giving me the silent treatment and Carla has been avoiding me at all costs. But that's not even half of it. Just 3 days ago I found out that Carla had been secretly meeting with my mother-in-law to discuss the business. Apparently they've been planning to go behind my back and find funding elsewhere. And guess what? They did. Carla managed to convince my mother-in-law to give her the $10,000 without any contract or strings attached. I couldn't believe it. The same woman who called me cold-hearted for wanting a business agreement was now freely handing over a large sum of money to Carla. But here's where it gets juicy. My mother-in-law didn't actually have the money. She took out a loan against her house to fund Carla's dream, a house that my husband and I have been helping her pay off for years. I was floored. Not only did they go behind my back, but they also risked the family home for a business venture with no guarantee of success. The confrontation was inevitable. When I found out, I confronted my husband about it. He admitted he knew about the plan all along and accused me of not being supportive enough of Carla's dreams. He said that family should help the family no matter what. I reminded him of the countless times I've supported them both, emotionally and financially, and how I only asked for a sensible business agreement. The argument got heated, and in the heat of the moment my husband let slip that Carla had been planning to ask my biological daughter for help too. That's right, the same daughter who has a business agreement with me for her own company. Carla had hoped to get her on board without any need for contracts, playing on the family card once again. I was stunned that my own stepdaughter was trying to manipulate her stepsister into giving her money after rejecting my offer that came with the safety of a contract. It felt like a SLP in the face, especially considering how hard I've worked to maintain a fair and professional relationship with my own daughter's business dealings. The next day, things got even more heated. Carla posted on social media about her new venture, thanking her grandmother for her unconditional support. The post blew up with friends and family congratulating her on the brave move. No mention of the loan, the risk to the family home, or the fact that she had turned down a fair offer from me. I couldn't just sit back and watch. I commented on the post, congratulating her and subtly mentioning the importance of having a solid financial plan in place. Carla immediately deleted my comment and blocked me. The family drama spilled into the public eye, and private messages started pouring in, some supportive, some accusing me of being bitter. And just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, my biological daughter reached out to me. She was upset that Carla had tried to use her, and she felt caught in the middle of a family feud. She didn't want to take sides, but she also didn't want to be seen as the bad guy for not giving Carla money without a contract. So here we are, 3 days later, and the tension is palpable. My husband is still mad, Carla is moving forward with her brand funded by a risky loan, and my mother-in-law is blissfully unaware of the potential financial disaster she's created. My biological daughter is trying to stay neutral, but it's clear this whole situation has put a strain on our family dynamics.